Welcome to Invested Souls, the podcast where real estate expertise meets relationship growth.
And we're your hosts, the Flanagans. I'm Brad.
And I'm Jamie. This podcast is your chance to learn from our experiences and follow in our footsteps. Whether you're an entrepreneur, investor, or real estate professional, we've got the insights and strategies to help you elevate your wealth and achieve financial freedom.
But it's not just all about real estate. We believe that thriving in life means nurturing the relationships that matter most.
That's right. We'll be talking about how to balance your personal and professional life so you can create a fulfilling and prosperous future.
So join us on Invested Souls and let's grow together in wealth, relationships, and success.
Ready to elevate your life? Let's get started. Welcome to Invested Souls. Welcome back, everyone, to Invested Souls. I'm Jamie Flanagan, the host, and today we have Brent Bowers on from the Land Sharks. And Brent, I'll let you introduce a little bit about what you do because this is actually new to me.
Yeah, thanks, Jamie, for having me. And God bless you, got kids home and you're recording a podcast. So I know our time is limited, but my name is Brent Bowers. You know, I invest in real estate. I do land deals, and it's almost like having houses that we collect rent on, but nothing ever breaks because I love selling my land on seller financing. That's been the absolute number one best strategy for us. And I also, flip land too. Sometimes people just pay us cash, and it's kind of nice not being in the regular residential real estate world.
So how long have you been investing in land specifically?
Yeah, my first land deal was in 2016. And before that, I had rentals, and I still have rentals, unfortunately. I'm trying to slowly sell those and trade up into like light industrial to get out of residential, because you said it right before we hit the record button, like you cash flow sometimes, but like I can never live off that money. It's always to repair a water heater or an air conditioner or a septic system or a roof, you name it.
Yeah, we have 80 units that we are liquidating to minimize, just same thing. Like now that, that was the only way we could grow, right? That's how we could buy one $150,000 house at a time. And we bought a couple packages in there, and we've got a couple apartment buildings, but now it's like, okay, we have the equity. So now let's sell some of it so that we can create cash, really, really good cash flow for ourselves. But
well, I want to know what you're doing with maybe my strategy is not better. Like, what are you doing with when you sell all yours? I assume you're 1031 in them? We
just started. Our first, we close on our very first one. Otherwise, we've held pretty much everything. We close next week. So we'll start. Our plan is to pay down the existing debt so that we've got cash flow still within the rental portfolio. I think it's interesting because everyone, when we coach people, it's like everyone has their thing that they're good at. And if identifying land, it's like if somebody's really good at identifying land and can see the opportunity there and has the relationships to find the person who was interested in seller financing it, it's a total win, right? But if I'm in real estate and I have clients who it started was because we had clients who would need to sell before they could buy. We bought their house, and I was like, I have another client who needs a house while the other person's moving. And so it was kind of like, it just happened within our network that we had the rental, we had the tenants, I had the inventory, and I had clients who needed to sell. And so it was just kind of a perfect storm. And we pretty much built that way. So your rentals, what do you think? You said maintenance is a huge thing. And that's one of the things we're looking at. We're liquidating. And if we buy more, it's just let's buy stuff with less, even if it's less cash flow, less maintenance.
Yeah, absolutely. That's the trick right there. And, a lot of these houses I bought with land money to where I would make money with my land, whether through seller financing where I'm collecting payments, or I would do a quick flip and I'd have some extra cash flow, and I was buying the houses really for a tax play because the government gives us such amazing benefits of owning buildings because we get to depreciate them, cost segregate them. So they've now built equity over these last several years because our tenants are paying down the mortgages as well as appreciation. But I'm only getting a couple $100s a month over what the mortgage payment is. So technically I'm not positive cash flow in these houses ever because something always breaks, capital expenditures, or tenant moves out and it sits vacant for a month. taxes are going up, insurance is going up. So I'm just like, okay, let's sell these houses. Let's collect this equity and either buy mobile home parks where we will still own the land and we'll rent it out, the lot rent. We'll sell off all the mobiles to the tenants, or light industrial buildings where we have triple net leases where the tenant's basically responsible for everything. I still make the active money with the land, but we're putting that cash flow into further long-term investments.
Yeah. I did an interview a couple weeks ago with a guy. He does seller financing on all of his rental properties, essentially. So he's converting it all because he's like, now I don't have to do the maintenance. We've done seller financing in a couple of our rental properties, but might be an opportunity there because we're like, okay, if we owe, do you owe on your rental properties?
Yeah, I have mortgages on several.
Yeah. So we basically, our lender that we work with, he'll let us do seller financing and keep the mortgage. They won't call it due or anything like that, but we add the tenant to, or the buyer to title. And that's totally
Nice.
a conversation.
So it's like a wraparound mortgage, mortgage.
Yep. And so we're getting the 20% from them. So we've got our cash out of it, and then seller financing on interest only back to the client or the buyer.
Wow.
So that's been interesting, but I didn't know, like, something I learned a couple weeks ago. I was like, okay, the seller financing thing, because we've been managing our own mortgages, like the payments, the interest only payments. And he's like, oh, you can hire this company and it's like $20 a month per mortgage. I was like, I had no idea. I was like, oh my gosh, and my husband's a mortgage lender, so I'm sure he knows this, but he does all kinds of things. Unfortunately, we don't spend enough time in the business together like we should. We always talk about it. We're like, we need to sit down like twice a week and just have a couple hours together. But we both
make it fun.
Make it fun, yeah.
Go out to dinner or something. Yeah, we use a note tracking software, mortgage tracking software for our when we sell a piece of land and people pay us on monthly payments. It's easynotetracking.com, and I pay $100 a month for this system. I think it starts at 45 up to 10 notes a month. And then it's $100 a month after you go past 10. But we charge each one of our buyers a $25 a month note service fee. So we technically make money on the note servicing.
That's awesome. I just pulled it up. Automated loan management payment solutions. I love it. I'm like, I gotta bookmark that right now.
Yeah, absolutely.
So what is one of the things I know that I wanted to ask you is, like, what are your goals moving forward? Like, you're liquidating some of your rental properties, and tell me a little bit about like your land. So seller financing, where do you find your buyers?
Yeah, great question. So let me back up. So when I first started, I was doing land in the middle of nowhere. I'd get the stuff for super cheap and it'd be hard to sell it, but I would like 10x my money. So when I say hard to sell, I had to like market it like Facebook and Craigslist and eBay and signs and mail the neighbors. But I kind of changed up that strategy in around 2018, where we started buying land that was in demand, that people actually wanted. And how do we know it was in demand? We saw it selling. Like, we could see it selling on Redfin. So then we price out that land in that area. We figure out what it's worth, what it's selling for by the acre or the square foot. And then once we have it priced out, we'll send offer letters. We send 55 offer letters a day. So that's us making offers, income producing activities. And you automate this. This is all on software. So it's not as hard as it sounds.
Right.
Sometimes the hardest thing is just spending the money on the letters.
I was just going to say the cost is what I'm like, ugh.
But I know that for every time I spend $1, I make $4 or $5 back. So that's made it a little easier by knowing those numbers. And it's not like crazy KPIs like key performance indicators. People are always like, what's your response rate? I'm like, I don't care. I don't know. I don't know what the response rate is because I don't want to track a lot of stuff.
Right. You get too much.
Oh my God. My eyes cross when I look at Excel spreadsheets, but I want to know what I spent, how many I sent, and how much I made. And that tells me, if I want to make $20,000 next month, and if I send 1,000 letters, I usually make $10,000. So I spend $1 to make 10 in some areas. Now, some areas I got to spend $1 to make 5, but it all averages out to about $1 spent equals 10 back. So if I want to make 20,000 next month, I need to send 2,000 letters, average. Yeah. So once we do that, we get the land under contract, and we'll either assign our contract, we'll sell it to a cash buyer. Like, that's how I started, because I didn't have any money to buy this land. or I'll buy it with my money or my next door neighbor's money. We use regular people as our lenders, mother-in-law, and I'll buy it at a discount, usually 50, 60 cents on the dollar, and I'll turn around and sell it for what it's worth at a higher interest rate. So that mortgage wrap that you're pretty much talking about with your houses, we're doing similar to land. Who's buying this stuff? Builders, truck drivers. I had college students buying a couple parcels of land from me.
So funny. My dad's a truck driver and he bought a random piece of land in Minnesota. I was like, what are you doing?
Yeah, I would sell land in Colorado all the time to truck drivers. You know, Latinos, like we had an area where Latinos were buying buying land from us because they would go and build these houses and they're working construction and they wanted to put their money somewhere safe and build their house one day. And I've taken land back where people stopped paying me, but I've never had a Latino stop paying. It's a hard work people and it's amazing. So that's kind of who's buying it. Someday, maybe people that they want to build a cabin one day, things like that. You know, people just want to own a piece of America. You know, I've got a lake house. I kept telling my wife, I don't do it anymore. Emily, and I was like, we got to buy the land across the street from us so no one builds a house, because like we sit out front on the evenings and watch the sunset. And I looked at who owned the land, like their mailing address was in Taiwan, somewhere like that. So I was like, well, I don't think they're going to be doing anything with it anytime soon. I think they're just investing in America. You know?
Wow, that's fascinating. I never came across anyone that has a mailing address in Taiwan yet. Not when I've done. Nobody in Nebraska. I don't think there's nobody wants land here. Just kidding. Maybe central Nebraska, not where I'm at. I'm in Omaha. So you're in Colorado?
Well, I started in Colorado. Now I'm in Florida.
Oh, nice. Okay. So do you still operate in both states then? Colorado and Florida?
Yeah.
Or just Florida? Okay.
Yeah, Colorado and Florida. The land is beautiful out in Colorado. The land's way better in Colorado than Florida, if you ask me.
Oh, for sure. We lived in Colorado for about a year and a half. We were in Evergreen.
Oh, wow. That's really nice out there.
Oh, it was beautiful. It was so beautiful. Our businesses are both really strong in Nebraska. So we slowly got sucked back into the Omaha market.
I understand.
But kids, we got young. How old are your kids?
5, 7, 9.
Oh, nice. So I've got a 10 and a 15-year-old. And so we're like, we'll come back to Nebraska with our support system and good business. And then when they're grown, we'll reevaluate.
That's exactly our plan too. We came back because grandma and grandpa's are here.
Yep. Yeah. It's the support system's hard it's like, and it's so great for the kids to be able to like have family close by. And I don't know, it definitely, we missed it. We missed it for a couple of years while we were gone.
Yeah. I understand that.
So what's your like biggest, so as you mentioned scaling in your profile. So what did that look like for you? And when did you know it was time to scale? How did you know when to hire? How big is your team?
Yeah. Scaling can be dangerous. I'm not really in scale mode right now. I'm in basically just kind of, how do I say it? Compress mode. We went lean and mean for a while there. We had 16 team members at the office, all that stuff. And I found out that you can do this with me and an office manager, and she's very highly skilled. And I think we keep a lot more of the money now. It's being reinvested rather than in marketing and paying acquisition managers and disposition managers. I honestly felt like I was working for my team for a while there, but I did it to feed the ego. You know, I wanted to flip houses.
Isn't that fascinating?
Yeah. So now it's like I work from my little tiny office in my house. I went from having a 2,500 square foot office to my tiny office. And it's like we were paying monthly payments for that office, plus the coffee and the cleaning service and all that. And now we're making almost $1,500 a month because we rent that office out. So it's like way better, economics. So I'm not in scale mode. I am in actually do less mode. I just try and make sure every land deal I do is absolutely no brainer profit. Whatever I do. Lately, we've kind of shifted. I love the seller finance for the land. I love it. I love selling a piece of land on seller finance. I actually have a city in Pennsylvania buying a piece of land for me I got for free right now.
Wow.
Yeah, for $10,000, the city's paying, but they wanted to put a water vault on the land, and they wanted me to give them an easement. And I said, well, I don't give easements for my land because I sell the land and people don't like buying land with easements on it. And I was like, you could buy it from us. And long story short, back and forth, we agreed on $10,000. And then we have a buyer that bought a piece of land from us that's been paying us monthly payments of $1,900 a month for the last several years. He sold the land. So we're closing this month, and I'm getting roughly $96,000 put in our pocket because he's paying off his loan. And then I had also a wraparound mortgage on that, and I'm paying my lender $65,000. So I'll still have about 96 left over after she's paid. So it was a heck of a profitable deal. We bought it for $150 and sold it for $225 with $25,000 down, and we collected about $29,000 in payments from this guy as well.
Wow, that's awesome.
Nothing ever broke.
What's your average like ROI, like annual ROI on these, or cash on cash, or however you calculate it?
Oh my God, you're asking me like foreign object questions.
Okay.
I don't even know. So I know that. So
I know I make money.
Yeah, I'm just I come from a cattle town. I know that if I buy a piece of land, I need to make profit on it. So if I buy it for $150 and I sell it for $225, I'll know I'll at least make 75 grand on it if I sold it for cash. Not looking at realtor commissions or closing costs. But when I sell it on financing at 12% interest, it's like printing money. So the guy had a $200,000 mortgage, and he paid me for a couple of years, and he paid it down a whopping $1,000 because 30-year mortgages, they're front and loaded for the first 7 years. They're pretty much all interest. So I don't understand how any of that stuff works. I just know the banks do it, and they're usually the biggest, prettiest buildings in every city and every state.
I always
I'm just copying the banks. I'm not smart. I'm just a copycat. R&D. I have an R&D department. Rip off and duplicate it.
That's awesome. It's the best way to do it. That's so funny that it's just interesting because we talk about, like in the commercial world, the cap rate, and I'm like, everyone calculates cap rates differently, and me and Brad don't even look at cap rate. So when people ask me, like, I have no idea. So then I have to I try my best, but I
have 4 commercial buildings. One of them's mixed use, actually 5 if you count our 19-unit apartment complex. But one's mixed use, one's our office, 2 industrial buildings. They all spit at least $1,000, $1,500 a month off, except for the 19-unit. We're losing money on that one, unfortunately. They all spit off anywhere from $1,500 to $2,500 a month positive. I couldn't tell you what my cap rate is. I don't even know. I don't understand that stuff. They net me money. That's all I know.
Cash at the end of the month. That's what matters.
And they're all appreciating. The tenants are paying down the mortgages. I cost segregate them, so I hardly pay any taxes. Nice. So there's a reason why I'm buying these buildings, because why is the land guy buying these rentals?
Land doesn't depreciate.
That's right. I have no tax benefits whatsoever. And if I spend that land money, I'm going to get taxed almost like 40 cents for every dollar I make. So I thank God we're born in America. I think everyone should pay taxes, but I don't want to pay hundreds of thousands of dollars in taxes a year. So I have a really smart CPA, and he helps us eliminate a lot of that by buying buildings.
That's the key, right? It's like, especially I coach and help with a lot of like people who are investing and buying real estate or becoming real estate agents. And like, we started investing more because to offset exactly that is like, we had real estate income and I didn't want to pay taxes on it. Other people are buying cars. Great. But those are depreciating, like literally depreciating. And we just were like, okay, there's an opportunity here. Like I said, it was like the trifecta. We had an opportunity to buy houses, had the clientele for it. And then we saw our tax bill the next year. We didn't actually know like the really benefits. I'm like, oh, we need to do this. We need to do 20 more times so we don't have to pay taxes. And so we just started reorganizing how we bought and what we were buying. And now it's like, but then you also have to look at, if I raise my income, am I actually going to raise my income? Because if you go into a different tax bracket and you don't have the assets to offset it, like there's a lot of things that you have to play with. And, it's real estate agents. It's just an interesting thing because everyone thinks if I sell more houses, I'm going to have more money. And it's like, no, we got to really evaluate the big picture here and look at is that going to actually create more income for you, or is it going to create a bigger tax bill, having to pay your CPA more? So all these other things. But so if you had advice for somebody who was interested in getting into kind of the land game, what would you say as a brand new investor? No, not a whole lot of money, they could send out maybe some mailers, but where would you start?
Yeah, no, great question. Because I feel like, when I started in 2016, I was broke and I had no money. So I should remember, like, if someone's listening to a podcast, they're probably really, how do I do my first deal?
Yeah.
So one of the fastest ways to start is go on Redfin and see where the land's selling, and you can micro it down to the neighborhood and community level. Once you see where that land's selling is, okay, what is selling now? Is it half-acre parcels? Is it 10,000 square foot parcels? Is it 5-acre parcels? Figure out what the product is moving.
Mm-hmm.
At the end of the day, it's just a product. It's all we're in is the marketing business. So once you see what's selling, figure out how much is selling for by the acre or the square foot, and make offers to these landowners that own this stuff, that build in your profit. Now, for instance, if the land's worth $100,000 and I want to make 10 grand per deal, well, let's do some backwards planning. All right, so the land's worth $100,000. I want to make 10K. Plus, we got to think about the realtor that's going to sell it for us, and closing costs and little oops factor. Before I know it, I'm offering $68,000 for this $100,000 parcel, or maybe even less sometimes, $61,000 or $59,000.
Mm-hmm.
I know if I send a purchaser, so I like sending what's called land offer letters. We call them blind offers in the industry. If anybody wants a copy of that land offer letter, they can go to thelandsharks.com/LOL. Download a copy and start sending this thing out. But we send an offer, sending 55 a day of these, and you don't have to start there. You can start with 10 a day. It doesn't matter. Figure out your budget, what you can spend for the next 6 months if you don't do a deal. You're not having to go and eat ramen noodles. Maybe it's 10 or 15 a day. We'll send them out because that's your income producing activity. So you're going to have to pull a list. Where do you pull a list of landowners? You can go to the landsharkslist.com and get a 7-day free trial and pull a list of 50 people and start testing this out. Send those guys, send those landowners.
So you have a database. That's part of that's awesome.
Yeah, we're borrowing from PropStream, so they've got the best. PropStream is who I prefer using over at the landsharkslist.com. But we pull the list. So we figured out where the land's selling. Then we price it out. Then we pull a list. And once we pull that list, we send them these land offer letters, basically their purchase agreements. And if they accept that offer, I know I now have this contract, a purchase agreement. I have an asset that I can go and find who's buying that land in that area. Same thing, the landsharkslist.com. You can see who the buyers are, who's buying today. And you can call those people and say, hey, I got this piece of land. I noticed you bought one for $100K a couple months ago. I got one that I'll sell you for $79,000 today. And you got it under contract for $69,000? That piece of paper's worth $10,000 right there.
Yeah.
That's the fastest way for someone to get started. You don't need a ton of money to get started in real estate if you start in land. Like my first deal in real estate, I got my license, my real estate license in 2007, which was hard as heck to get for me. I had to take that test 3 times. And then I bought a rental property for $127,000. And I just mortgaged myself for 30 years. Mort, the Latin term means death. Gauge means term. So I gave myself a death term of 30 years. And then it's paid off by an amortization schedule to slowly kill it. Amort means to kill, basically, slowly kill. So it's like I'm taking out a death term to slowly kill it for 30 years. But my first land deal, I paid like a couple $100 for, and I sold it to a realtor for $5,000. And that was on the tax delinquent list. That's a whole nother podcast. We can talk about all that.
We should do that. I would love to do a follow-up about tax liens.
So, and I wasn't purchasing tax liens. I was just mailing the people that were on that list a postcard. And you can get that postcard at the landsharks.com/postcard. The only thing about that was a really small list, and it was a pain in the butt to get. The first strategy I told was easier, and people make a lot more money doing it quicker. But you just got to be willing to put in the steps and take the actions, because there's still work involved in this.
Totally. Do you have a VA or anybody who helps you with the postcards?
No, it's all digital. It's all automated now.
Okay.
So we upload the list, we upload the pricing, and it mails out.
Who does that? What company does that? Is that all part of your?
Yeah, it's a program called Pebble. If someone wants a 14-day free trial with that and a $50 mail credit on me, go to thelandsharks.com/CRM. That's my CRM, my customer relationship manager.
Awesome.
So
I'll make sure all these are in the show notes.
Oh, thank you so much. Yeah, and I just want to make sure like people know like you can start mailing today, like start getting out in front of landowners today. And I have so many people like reach out and they're like, I did a land deal by listening to that podcast.
That's awesome. Yeah. Oh my gosh, I'm excited. Are you on LinkedIn?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. So I was just brought this on my last podcast too. I didn't used to post our shows on LinkedIn, but I'm going to post, I get a lot more attention on them on LinkedIn than I expected.
No kidding.
I'll make sure to tag you.
We just got active on LinkedIn. We just started posting on stuff on there. I've had LinkedIn forever. And my dad's like, hey, accept my friend request on LinkedIn. I was like,
that's freaking awesome. Yeah, I'll tag you in there and then all your social profiles, of course. But so if anyone wanted like to get a hold of you, the best way is to go to your website that way.
Go to thelandsharks.com. Yeah, thelandsharks.com, schedule a call. I will call you. I try and get back with everyone within like 24 hours. Do you
ever do land anything in Nebraska?
Never. I've never done a deal in Nebraska. There's so much. The United States is so big.
It is. And there's a lot of land still.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. You can't even, we would run out of money. We'd run out of money before we bought it all.
I just thought of something. Me and my husband, we sold this property and we owned the two parcels next to us. So it was like 10 acres and 10 acres. Well, there was this strip in between. There's like an acre, 0.88 acres, but it's long and skinny. So you can't like build anything on it. But then you said easement. And I'm like, I wonder if, because we just own it. We just pay the tax. The tax bill is like, I don't know, $70. So we just pay the tax bill every year. But what happened is when we sold the house, the title, they didn't put the extra parcel on the purchase agreement. So we just ended up with this random piece of land. And I don't know what we're going to do with it or what, even if there's an opportunity, but that would be probably what it'll end up being used for as an easement.
Yeah. I mean, what do you grow out in Nebraska? Corn?
What is that? Soybeans. I think on that is alfalfa.
Put a strip of alfalfa down it.
Yeah, exactly.
Disc it up and put a strip of something down there. But yeah, you're right. I've had a couple of those and the neighbors usually buy them from us. Yeah,
that's what I'm hoping someday. They have reached out, but they haven't actually moved forward. I'm like, maybe if I put a big billboard, they'll actually be like, all right, we'll buy it.
Fastest way to sell a piece of land to a neighbor is just threaten to put a pig farm on it.
There you go. I like it. Big slip and slide.
Yeah, there you go.
For all the neighbors to enjoy. Well, cool. Thank you so much for coming on today. I'll make sure that we get you some people that go head on over to your website and learn some more about land because this has been really good. I'm totally intrigued by it.
Thanks, Jamie. Appreciate you having me.
Absolutely.
Thanks for tuning in to Invested Souls.
We hope you found our insights valuable and feel inspired to elevate your real estate and relationship goals.
If you enjoyed the episode, please subscribe, rate, and leave us a review. Your feedback means a lot to us.
Follow us on social media for more tips and updates, or visit bradandjamieflanagan.com. And to find out more about our Real Estate Wealth Accelerator, don't hesitate to reach out.
Until next time, keep investing in your future and nurturing your relationships. Thanks for listening to Invested Souls.